Hi Zola, hi everybody. This is Odie back again. I would have been doing the reading yesterday, Monday, November 13th, if I hadn't had to make that emergency trip to Mongolia, and took a little longer than I thought it would take. The plane was pulling in yesterday afternoon, and I thought, well, it's too late to do the show. Not only that I was suffering from jet lag, and I thought maybe I won't be able to see the script, see the page button up. So I recovered sufficiently. Now, one of the things that help is buttermilk. With a little bit of kefir.
Yes.
So, here we are. No, I'm just kidding. I was never in
Mongolia. He is a storyteller.
But I had you going for a minute, huh?
All right.
This particular column is one that I call Images, and it dates from September 1530. The newspaper was printed. This is my Africa media column from the African Times newspaper. The printing cycle was like September 1st to September 15th, and from the 15th to the 30th. So it's published bi-weekly.
And what year was this?
This is 1997.
97.
We went into it from 96 to 97. This is from 97. And it's called Images.
Okay.
It was simply multicultural party chit-chat, compounded by plastic glasses of white wine held at port arms until Anna Nighthawk spoke. I cannot understand how African Americans of all people can allow themselves to be participants in the marketing, the slander, and degradation of our people. Anna Nighthawk had obviously become annoyed by the illogical statements about Native Americans that an African American man was making. Perhaps it was the white wine. I monitored their conversation as she became more intense. A number of Native American nations referred to themselves as the people, or the human beings. Of course, being human beings, they may have had other names for the people who lived on the other side of the mountains. She was not humorless. The people, including my brothers and sisters in South America, have been in a trick bag since we were misnamed Indians by a bloodthirsty bunch of rapists and gold-crazed savages who call themselves explorers. I've never heard of any Apaches, Navajos, Choctaws, Shoshones, Senecas, or Iroquois who set foot on Spanish soil, Portuguese soil, or German soil and claimed they had discovered it. The brother switched horses in midstream. It wasn't a clever move. By now, several others had tuned in. We're not mascots. We're human beings. We don't want to be dehumanized like that. The sad thing about what you're saying is that I can't think of an African American family that doesn't have a Native American ancestor. And yet many African Americans buy into the apathy, ignorance, and racism that denies the Native Americans their pride and dignity. The lady was not holding out a peace pipe or waiting for the Lone Ranger to lead her anywhere. Think about it. Just a few years ago, you were battling to have Aint Jemimammy and Uncle Ben eliminated from the supermarket shelves. And yet you see nothing inhumane about defiling Native American cultures. Remember when Africans and Africa were characterized as a savage place and the people there were primitive, uncivilized pagans, unfit to be anything but slaves? Media Watch took advantage of a lull in her speech. Most of those sentiments have gone underground, but they're never far from the surface. If you have any doubts, visit your nearest correctional facility, read the daily newspapers, watch television for an hour or so, or go see George of the Jungle or Ace Ventura. And a nighthawk nodded in agreement and continued to rap. It was quite obvious from the dazed expressions on a number of dark-skinned faces that they were hearing something they had not given serious thought before. Think about it. Early on, when the first African captives managed to escape chattel slavery, they came to us, and we offered refuge. Her antagonist, someone who obviously enjoyed being publicly spanked, snatched at a straw. But isn't it true that the Indians also enslaved Africans? She hesitated for a deep breath and then shot from the hip. Yes, Native Americans also enslaved Africans, but it was closer to the African concept of slavery than the European chattel slavery idea. What I'm saying is that Africans, Native Americans, people were not condemned to slavery forever. A man or woman might have a period of time in bondage and be released, or buy himself free, or get married, or whatever. We held Africans in high regards because they had dealt with the Europeans. They knew his nature, and the Native Americans have always had respect for experience, wisdom, and knowledge. You won't find it in any of your Eurocentricized history books. But there were a number of Native American cultures, especially in the South, that were greatly influenced by the infusion of African blood and ideas. Are you suggesting that I don't know my history? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm saying it straight up. If you don't know my history, you're missing out on a big chunk of your history, because you must remember, here on this continent, before there was any his story, there was our story. Dig it? Our story.
I see.
The end of the evening came too suddenly, but I'm certain that I wasn't the only one who rode away from the scene thinking of what I had to do to give Native Americans their props. Thank you, Anna. Incidentally, this is Indian Heritage Month, and I thought the piece would be appropriate for this month or any other month.
And most definitely to your ancestors.
Well, like I said, I think we all got a pinch here and there.
Yes.
It's Choctaw for you and Cherokee for me.
Yes.
This is what they told me. On my daddy's side, and on my mother's side, it's Chickasaw from Arkansas.
Right. I often wonder what happened to the pictures of my great Uncle June and July, who were Choctaw.
It would be interesting to find out.
You know, one was holding a derby hat, and they both had braids. I remember.
Look it up. Look it up.
I'm hoping to.
And
okay, with that, thank you very much.
Hey.
That was brief and to the point. And your website is www.odiehawkins.com.
I am not going to go back to Mongolia again soon.
I hope not soon. I'll miss you.
But if I do, I'll let you know.
I'm going with you.
It
Ness.